and your physical life. You know, many of us, when we come to understand the truth about Yahuwah and the promises that the knowledge of Him holds for us, we get very, very spiritual very, very quickly, and that's understandable. And to some degree, we often overlook the importance of the physical aspect of our life. So what I want to encourage you to think about this morning is this, that if you don't have a physical body that works to the fullness of the potential that Yahuwah put into it, you are not going to be able to walk in the fullness of your spiritual life. Because a Yahuwah living in a debilitated body is going to be far less effective in the kingdom of Yah than if he had taken the trouble to make sure that, that his body was functioning properly. So what's all that got to do with water, you may ask? Well, it's got a whole lot to do with it, because as Rafa just indicated a little while ago here, depending whose statistics you believe, the physical body is anywhere between 70 and 90% comprised of water. Now remember, Yahuwah made us, and He made us to grow into beings that reflect His image. And if He made us in a way that meant our body is comprised of 70 to 90% water, perhaps water's got a lot more significance than people actually realize. Now, I could go off here and talk for hours on the various qualities and properties for water, and we don't have the time for that today, but what we really do want to touch on is the parallels that exist between our understanding from a spiritual perspective of water and our understanding from a physical perspective of water. We all know that Yahuwah, that the Word is life. That is what gives life. The Word itself actually spoke life into existence. So, when we understand that, we can understand that if the Word is life, then the more Word and the more pure Word that you put into your body, the more life there's going to be in your physical body and your spiritual body. It's vitally important. And you will find scriptures, Rafa pulled some up earlier, there's a myriad of them that make this important connection between water and your spiritual existence. It talks in the Word about the rivers of living water. Now let me just mention that to you. Why didn't it just say like rivers of water? Why would it be living water? And as we know how our universe actually works, we know that, everything has to have an opposite. So if there's the concept of living water, then there actually has to be some other kind of water. It will be the opposite of that. So what would be the opposite of living water? Well, that would be dead water. So there's definitely a difference between living water and any other version of that. So, as Rafa was talking about counterfeits, it's quite remarkable that I didn't know he was going to talk about that this morning. And I have in my notes here, when we as Yahuans discover the Word of Yah, we discovered the true Word. The most purest form of the Word known to man at this moment of time is the Word of Yah. So that is absolutely the pure Word. It's the true Word. So what is the counterfeit? Well, as far as the Word is concerned, you don't have to look very far to find the counterfeits. There's this kind of huge plethora of Babylonian Bibles with all kinds of errors and erroneous teachings in them. So they have the appearance of the truth, but they are the counterfeit. They look very similar, they sound very similar, but I don't have to tell the people on the line today exactly what is missing from them. So that word is supposed to be the rivers of living water. So if you have a counterfeit to that, now let's take that and parallel it in the physical world. So in the physical world, you have pure water. It does still exist. It's very difficult to find, but it still exists. You will find it in its purest form in the way that Yahuwah created it, undulating down pristine mountain streams where it's cascading over mineral-rich rocks, and it has all the balance and energy of life that Yahuwah put into it into the beginning. And then we come along and we denature it. Just like man did with the Word. We come along and we make alterations to it. We take things out, we put things in. So we've done exactly the same with the physical water as we did with the spiritual water with the living Word. Now, as you know, if you don't put enough of the right Word, the living spiritual water, into your spirit and soul, you're going to be ineffective in the spiritual realm. And by the same token, if you don't put enough of the right living physical water into your body, then your physical body will be less effective than it should be, and that is going to hold you back from walking in the fullness of the calling that Yahuwah has for you. Now, as everyone on the line here today is a Yahuwah, as far as I'm aware, and I really believe that, I receive that in my spirit. So don't we owe it to Yahuwah to make sure that we are equipped to be able to do the things that are going to be necessary in these coming times. I was speaking to my wife Ioani last night about just the awesome privilege that we have out of the 6.5 whatever it is billion people, 6.5 billion souls on the earth at the moment. You know, we are in a tiny number that even have any awareness of this. But with that comes this huge responsibility for us to be able to be the best we can be physically, so that we can go out and do what needs to be done, which is to take this truth, to take the reality to the whole world out there and eliminate all these counterfeits. So the physical component is essential. So let me get to the essence of it. What has that got to do with the physical water? Well, it's this. Most people have no idea that they should be drinking a certain amount of water. They have a kind of head knowledge concept of it, just like people have a head knowledge concept of the truth in the Word, but it doesn't get down into their spirit and their soul because they don't really appreciate the significance enough of it. Those of us that are seekers, that have found this true Word, we did. Well, I want to encourage you to be a seeker, to seek out the truth about water, because I can tell you this: the biggest cause of a minimum of 70% of all known diseases today, it's either caused by or seriously contributed by one factor, and that is dehydration. That is absolutely true, and no medical person can refute it. So, why does that happen? Well, because every function that the body carries out requires water. Everything that you want to do, it doesn't matter if it's something as simple as having a thought, you cannot do it without water. Your body is just such a complex instrument, but Yahuwah made it 70% plus water because it's the water that carries out all the functions. So logic says if you don't have the right water in there, the right amount of water in there, you're not going to be able to carry out those functions properly. You're not going to be able to metabolize your food, to eliminate toxins, to cleanse your system, to drive your cardiovascular system, to rebuild healthy cells. Water is the key to all of this. So we're going to be doing, and I've discussed this with Rafa, and we will find out where he wants to slot it into the whole program. But we're going to be doing some in-depth teaching on the real truth of walking as a healthy Yahuwah, not just spiritually healthy, but physically healthy. And we're going to be helping you in that regard. But for today, just take this with you, and that is an understanding of how much water you have to be drinking. It's an easy calculation to make, and it works like this. Whatever your body weight is, you take that number and you divide it by 2, and whatever the answer is, that is the number of ounces of water that you should be consuming on a daily basis. So I know that there's already people sitting on the line here saying, hang on, so I weigh 180 pounds, so that means I have to drink 90 ounces of water a day. Wow, that's actually like over 5 16-ounce glasses of water. If you want to turn around the other way, it's over 10 8-ounce glasses of water. Well, folks, that is it. Your body is a machine that's designed to operate on water. The water fuels everything that goes on in there, and if you don't put it in there properly, your body's not going to work properly. Want to see people losing 10, 20 pounds of weight in a couple of months? Just get them drinking the right amount of water. Want to see people saying goodbye to headaches and tiredness and insomnia and all those ridiculous things? Get them drinking the right amount of water. You know, now there's other things that will tell you about this when time permits, and not only how to drink the right amount, but exactly you know, how to drink the right water as well. But that's a teaching we don't have time for today, because there are differences. You know, you don't just want to be pouring water out of a tap laced with chlorine and chemicals and all other debilitating stuff that the enemy's managed to slip in there. So, you know, but like I said, we'll do that when we get the dedicated time to focus on that subject. But right now, just enjoy the parallel between the living water in the Word and the living water that's made available on the earth for you to fuel your body. You know, all that green stuff that Rafa was talking to about just now, none of it whatsoever could have happened without water, because it's the water that makes everything go green. It's the water that feeds the plants and nurtures everything. Just meditate on this. Since the beginning of time, not one drop of water that Yahuwah made available on this planet has ever left. It's all still here. I mean, and I find that just completely remarkable, but it's never left. Yeah, it might evaporate and go up and become part of the clouds, and then guess what? It forms the rain and it comes back down and it feeds the earth, and it soaks into the water table. It ends up in our reservoirs and pipes. It comes out the tap. We drink it. It goes back into the whole system. It goes back in the earth. It evaporates again and up to the clouds, and round it goes. It never leaves. It's with us all the time. The water in your body never leaves. It's going to be, you're going to just keep replacing the stuff that's eliminated out as it's flushing out toxins, but pretty soon you're going to be seeing it back there again. And you've got to understand the importance. If Yahuwah made your body so that it works like that, it obviously is sending you a message that that water is important, and you have to put it in there right. And just like so many unfortunates have been deceived by the counterfeit word, that the living water that is the Word, they've also been deceived about the truth of the living water that needs to go into your physical body. So I think that's going to be enough for you today. Just take away the fact that you now know how much water to drink. Yes, you will be making a few more trips to the bathroom. But you know, would you rather do that, or would you rather end up with one of the dreaded 5 diseases that people get? And you know, most of them are caused by dehydration, because their cells are not regenerating properly, and a cell that is devoid of its power and its energy because it doesn't have the right amount of water in it, guess what happens? It becomes carcinogens. That's how cancers develop, when you take the moisture away from the cells. You know, now we don't want to get off on too much of a tangent, but let me encourage you with that. You know, you now have the full set. You have the river of living water, which is the Word. You have an understanding about what to start doing about the body, and we're going to provide you with a lot more education and guidance on this, so that you can take it to the Ruach and say, you know, is this really what I should be doing with my physical body? I'm pretty confident you won't get any contradictions. So let me encourage you, start drinking lots of water, start flushing your body out. You'll have more energy, you'll have more time to spend in the Word, you'll have more mental clarity. Your time that you spend with Yahuwah will just be blessed and taken to a whole new level. So that's all I want to say about that today. I'm going to hand it back to Rafa. I'm just so blessed to be able to share it with everybody, and I hope it's been of some benefit to you. Mani Yah.